everybody. Welcome back to Mortgage Ballers. Today I've got the Michael Bass, and of course, my name is Rich Hanlin, and we are here to interview Michael and see if we can pick his brain, get to know him a little bit better, see if we could put a face with the voice, with the email. Everything's so electronic nowadays. But Michael, thanks so much for being with me today. I appreciate you taking time out of where are you at?
Colorado, Denver.
Denver, Colorado. We got a lot. Colorado is our second busiest state behind California. Colorado is amazing. I love their business. They're good to do, makes sense to do business in compared to any other state. If you get in trouble in Colorado, you're really doing something wrong. That's the key to that. But I love Colorado. How's the weather in Colorado right now?
It's a little overcast right now. Yesterday and the day before was awesome, beautiful, and I was like, man, if it could just stay this way for the next, 6 months or so. But unfortunately, it's a little bit of a yo-yo right now before we get into spring. So, but I like, maybe get a little snow later today. We'll see.
Oh, okay. I don't get to say that much in Georgia. How long
Yes.
you been in lending? How long you been doing this?
Well, it's been almost 10 years now. Started in finance as a retail banker, worked my way up. Uh, and in 2015, one of the top LOs in our company was branching off to a different company, and he invited me to go with him. And so he's actually one of the top LOs in the country, Jonathan Alexander with First United Bank. I don't know if you've heard of him. I know you're pretty connected around here, but yeah, I was lucky to be mentored under him and quickly realized how much there is to know and how much, you know, it's about practice and putting yourself out there over and over again. Um, and yeah, so he brought me on as a junior LO underneath him, and then I'm sitting in front of real estate agents and trying to convince them that I'm a good lender and can take care of their business, and didn't really know what I was doing. So had to go back to the drawing board. Was an LOA for a few years under him and under another LO there, Patricia Mahoney, and got a lot of reps in, saw all kinds of things, and then felt really confident to move forward back as a primary LO.
Sometimes it's also, especially when you're younger, unless you're getting a salary, on our side, you end up being 1099
Mhm.
mostly. And that's not something everybody's used to. Yeah, could it be lucrative? Yes, but is it consistent all the time? You're in a tough 3-year market now, the beginning of a fourth year, 22, 23, 24, now 25. They were slowing it down. They started to lower rates last year, and then boom, they put the halt on that. They need to see some things happen before they start coming more. Obviously, we're trying to control inflation, debt, all kinds of stuff. But I will tell you that since January 1st, we've had two back-to-back record months year over year of imports.
Hmm.
So February was our second largest month since we've opened our doors of imports. So there's something going on out there. Optimism, people are getting ready. People are definitely, eventually, they're not going to just stop doing anything. It's like, okay, I'll just pay the extra $200 or $300 a month because I want to get out of this and become a homeowner. I want to go from this house to that house. And people will not just sit still for too long. Eventually, they'll figure out the trade-offs and they'll do it. And I think that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah,
Um, I
I
want you to
think it
explain
was.
this part of it. And I know the answer, but I'd like everybody to know. Some of the people are individuals, some people are part of teams. Talk to me about how you're set up right now at Expert Home Lending.
Sure, sure. So I'm a part of Altitude Home Mortgage. There's about 15 of us, I think, adding new people every now and then, good people. Um, but yeah, they're started by Stephanie Gilbert and Ken Schmidt, two awesome LOs here near my market. We've got Stephanie in Wyoming and then Denver in northern Colorado. Met them at a retail bank, and um, Ken had some experience on the broker side, and he had been thinking about making the move for a while. Steph kind of got the itch. I think we all got tired of losing deals to brokers. And so yeah, made the switch to the dark side a little over a year ago. And yeah, it's been a lot to learn, but really gratifying, just knowing that I've got so many different options to pair with the right person. Used to be I'd get a deal that I couldn't do and I had to refer it out. And now I can go to my Rolodex and say, okay, who's got an appetite for this? Who can help this client? And you know, being able to shop around and find the best deal for the client has been awesome.
One thing that you've lucked out with is, before that relationship, you were taken in by a top producer, and you got Ken and you have Stephanie. Stephanie was the number one producer. She outproduced number two out of 623 originators in 2024. By the next person was 59 loans behind her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, geez, they had 99, she had 158. And she's in Wyoming. You look at her totals, and people are like, yeah, but look at my average loan. I'm like, okay, you did half as many loans for about the same amount because you're in California. She's helping a ton of people.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, if you're closing 12 to 15 deals a month, you probably have 45 in your pipeline at any given time. She has perfected conversations that turn into apps, that turn into loans, that turn into fundings, and that machine just keeps going. And I think she actually, I think I talked to some more of your people on the team when we did our Boulder event, that, how she'll allow people to come out and sit with her in Wyoming and for a week and things like that. Have you ever gone out there to sit with her at all?
No, so we were all in UWM
Okay.
last week, or maybe it was the week before now. But anyway, we really enjoyed that, but had a chance to connect and talk more. And
Okay.
I'm definitely going to go out there and kind of see what she's doing, the atmosphere, the good energy she's got. She's got a team of people kind of built around her now that she's trained up so that she can focus on the really important things that, you know, building the relationships, getting out there, teaching classes, bringing value to real estate agents. And so I just want to, you know, rub elbows with her, get an idea of what she's doing that I can implement in my business as well. Um, yeah, so that's on my list of things to do. I think it's back in my court after our last conversation to propose some dates.
What's your favorite part about what you do? Is there a specific type of bar, a specific type of loan? It's people wake up in the morning, yeah, I'm a loan officer, I'm licensed. Well, what is it about this business that you like? Because it's not always easy.
Yeah. I really like people, and that's changed in different times of my life. But if I'm happy with myself, which I am now, thankfully, I can see other people for who they are and really get to connect with them there. I also like puzzles. During COVID, uh, I spent an embarrassing amount of time learning how to solve a Rubik's cube and do it
Okay.
as fast as possible. So I've got my best time at 8.7 seconds. So, um, but anyway, yeah. So people and puzzles are kind of uh, where that aligns in this industry, and each client, each family I meet has a unique situation, unique goals, and I get to kind of see now, especially on the broker side, how they fit perfectly into, um, you know, whatever program and pricing meets their needs. Down payment assistance, VA loan programs, you know, the non QM stuff that we can do for those who just really need to get in the house. Um, it's a job that requires a lot of learning and growing, which I also love. You can never really know it all, and even if you did, they change the guidelines on you. So that's mhm, yeah,
A lot of people don't realize, FHA used to be 85% cash out. Conventional used to go to 80% cash out. Now it's like 75. They pull back when things are tighter. You didn't used to have the hits for the second home the same as you do on the investment property on conventional. They wanted to slow down investors, and I'm like, now we have a DSCR loan. They didn't slow anything down. And if they can make it make sense, they're going to keep buying properties because they understand what they're doing. They'll just find another marketplace if their market gets too expensive, like California, stuff like that. Um, so you answered the one question about hobbies. Rubik's Cube, 8 point, how fast was that?
7 6 seconds. They measure it down to the hundredth or thousandth. Yeah,
No.
it's
So you're going to a competition with that?
you know, if I was averaging that, maybe, but my average is around 15 seconds. Not, and honestly, there's so many better ways to spend my time. I wish I would have learned a second language or, something valuable during all that downtime. It's good when you're sitting in an airport trying to kill some time or, trying to distract yourself when you're taking off or landing.
Rubik's Cube's been around a very long time. I watched some of those competitions with the people do. I've seen people, blindfold me. I'm going to do
Yeah,
two at the same time. I'm like, okay, all right,
yeah.
stop it.
One-handed, do it with their
Yes,
feet. It's crazy.
put it in a brown bag and pull it out. I'm like, wait.
Yeah.
All right. How about this? You talked about how you've transitioned into the broker world, which we're glad you're here, by the way. Um, Everybody's market's a little bit different. From Colorado to Orange County, California. Spoke to somebody in Michigan, and we had a first-time home buyer paying $1 million in Orange County, California, which has its own hurdles. And now we have a $250,000 property first-time home buyer where she lived in Michigan. What's the average first-time home buyer kind of in your area, where you do a lot of business?
What's the average price or what's the
Yeah, like
average?
to become a homeowner.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really depends. Colorado's a state where people move to from all over the country.
The value's really gone up.
Yeah, yeah. And prices are high and, interest rates are also, you know, historically not that high, but high for people's appetites over the past few years.
Sure.
So I think a lot of people are sitting on the fence and, you know, if someone comes to me, I really just try and boil it down to like, hey, what are your goals? Why are you trying to buy a house? What's your life goals? And for a lot of people, they're waiting for interest rates to come down. If they're sitting on the fence, they're waiting for prices to come down. And for the latter, Denver is not really a place where, prices have fluctuated a whole lot, looking at different graphs. And I'll kind of show people like, look, back in the 1970s, we started really measuring this data. And over that time, you can see this is a pretty straight line up, continuing to wait and, hoping that interest rates come down, you end up losing out on equity that you could be building. I don't know if am I answering your question right? That's kind of
You are. Everybody says it a little bit differently. Just talking to Audrey Duvall, and she said, I just remind people they're worried about the interest rates, but yet if you're renting, you're basically paying 100% interest because you're getting nothing out of that. Not the write-offs, not the payoff of principal. Um, Eventually we just run into this fear. It's like if you can afford to move up, if you can afford to become a homeowner, there's two sides of the realm. It's either you are on the homeownership side some way, somehow, or you are on the renter side. And there's a huge variation if you follow those people's lives as they continue on and get older and older and older. And that discrepancy really starts to show by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars every 10 years. You know, I have yet to meet anybody who bought a house and then if I talk to them 10 years later, say that was a stupid move. Once they become a homeowner, they never go back to being renters. But yes, could you do this in the short term because you're buying in a market, but yet you got to sleep somewhere every single night.
right.
Why don't you sleep on your pillow rather than somebody else's pillow? That's, and here's the thing too, Michael. A lot of people say, oh, I can't buy. And I'm like, you mean you can't buy in the neighborhood of your choice right now? So why don't we put you over here in a home that is going to burn and turn because it's bread and butter? And this is a strong neighborhood and it's a great spot for you to get your feet wet and affordable. And in 2 years, we'll move you to the neighborhood of your choice because your fears will go away. You don't need to just always bust out. People want immediate gratification, and sometimes just delaying it. Time goes by fast when you buy a house. That first year is all about getting settled, things like that, and then boom, here we are again. And then the rates start to drop. We're expecting rates to go down at some point in time. We know we're at that cycle. We're at what we call the maximum pain threshold right now for people in the economy. And this is that part where it starts to wash everybody out, even people losing homes. Some people, their hardship becomes other people's blessings. And so I don't like that, but it's just part of the cycle that people are losing jobs, things like that. You can't afford it. But this is the time to be pre-approved. It's the time to have somebody like you that are, you have missed out if you wait, here's a good example. Somebody said it yesterday. What's holding you up? And they said, oh, what would rates have to get your clients, talking to realtors and or borrowers, to get them off the fence? I'm like, oh, 5.5, 5.75. They're like, cool, I can get you that right now with a 2-1 buy down. Oh, no, no, I don't want to do that. Well, why not? Because there's nobody in line to buy that house. You're probably going to get it when you offer. The seller's probably going to pay for your 2-1 buy down and maybe your closing costs. You wait till the rates are 5.75 and there's going to be 40 people in line and you ain't going to get a dime out of that seller.
Yep.
There's a big variation in understanding you're beating yourself up over rate, and there's a good chance a year from now, 2 years from now, that same house is going to be worth 5 to 10% more. You have gained nothing, and you've allowed your fear to hold you back from possibly the biggest opportunity, because everybody, when you talk to them, Michael says, I wish I would have bought last year, the year before, because even in this market, values of real estate have done really well. So that's been
Yeah.
my thoughts on it. But you guys are awesome because you're all in different areas. How have you done? I didn't ask you, do you have any kids, anything like that?
Nope, not yet. I have a
All right.
fiance. We got engaged on New Year's Eve.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Your kids are on the radar, but we want to get, through a couple of years or a year or so of marriage before we really pull the trigger on that, if we can avoid it.
Nothing wrong with that.
If we get,
Who are you a fan of? Who's your favorite football team? Who's your favorite baseball? Or do you even like sports?
oh man, I used to love the Mavericks until what they did to Luka Doncic. I'm not really ever been a team loyal
You like
guy. I'm more
players?
of like,
Okay.
yeah, I like players, I like people, like I said before. Um, and so, I guess now I'm a Lakers fan. Yeah,
Okay. We
don't hate
will,
me, Rich.
editor, please edit that out.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Hey,
what
how
about
how
LeBron?
did
How
I
do you
know? Are
feel
you a
about
LeBron fan or a Lakers fan?
Well, I am not one of the LeBron haters out there. I've got a
Okay.
friend who cannot let it go. He just, has a bad taste in his mouth for some reason about LeBron, and I'm one of his biggest advocates. I think he's carried himself really well. He's been the face of the league for a long time, and I think he's been pretty incredible to watch. So, watching Luca and LeBron together on the court has been pretty cool. Have you seen any of the games yet?
No, my TV for some reason doesn't bring the Laker channel
Doesn't
in
have
where
that.
I'm at.
Yeah. What's your team then?
No, when I left California, believe it or not, I'm going to blow you away with this one. Last year, with the incredible recruits coming out of college, I really got into women's college basketball, and then for the first time ever, I started watching women's professional basketball. We have the Atlanta Dream here. They just got Griner, which that one player is going to make them. I see them possibly going all the way. That's a huge pickup for them. Obviously, Caitlin Clark. We had what's her name, Reese. I love watching the players come out of college and they can make an immediate impact.
Mhm.
Men's basketball, I don't know. It's not what it was back when it used to be Lakers Celtics rivalry, that
Right.
type of stuff. Seems like a lot of teams, they just keep feeding the ball to one player, and that player takes a million shots. It's just different. But I do like players. I do like LeBron.
Mhm.
Whether I like it or not, that dude came out of high school, and how talented can you come out of high school and just go into the NBA? Him and Kobe, a couple others. Now they have to go 1 year, in college? I'm like, really, what is that for? I don't even understand that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
did you play any sports in high school or college?
yeah. Well, high school, I went to a really small school, so I was lucky to play pretty much every sport, football,
Oh, good.
basketball, baseball. So I loved it all. And honestly, I waited too long to start playing football. I played my
Okay.
senior year and I loved it. I
What
think
position?
I was wide receiver
Okay.
because I was quick and I had good hands, and I think that was due to starting with, baseball and basketball early on. Couldn't play defense for if my life depended on it, I could not tackle in the open field. So,
Right.
but it was such a small school that I had to play defense. I played both ways the whole way, um, but yeah, I loved football, baseball, basketball. Still play rec league basketball now.
Nice.
My
Okay.
niece
You are
don't
the
really.
LeBron of your league, is what you're
I
saying?
am the LeBron in my league. You can probably. Yeah. No, I'm just pretty much a straight up shooter. I can facilitate with some passes and stuff, but not quick anymore. My knees hurt, can't jump anymore.
I hear it. I mean, I couldn't, if I tried to plant and stop and go the other direction, my body would still go that way. 57, my mind still says, post up, I can do this. And my body says, no, you can't.
No,
No,
you
you
cannot.
can't.
Yep.
I
And then the
love it.
next day is always,
Yes, the
hurting and
next day hurts a
barely being
lot.
able to sit down, stand up.
I started trying to do this stupid burn boot camp thing. I'm like one of the oldest people in there. It's mostly women. I feel stupid in there. I'm like, come on, guys, get a couple of guys in here. But it's probably the best thing for me because I get up early, 5:30. I'm there, and I get 45 minutes of pretty intense workout, get my heart going. I'm an early riser, but I also go to bed early at night.
Hmm.
That just works out better for me. But do that. I love fishing. Love being on the water. I love the ocean, any ocean. There's some incredible white sand beaches like Destin, Florida. You got Savannah. Everything's such a quick drive from the Atlanta, Georgia area.
Yeah.
2 hours, you can be so many different places. I got a huge lake called Lake Lanier that's within 20 minutes of my house. Love being on the water as much as I can. But also now a grandfather, got two grandkids, and that's probably the number one thing.
Hmm.
But I look back and we have all these young people coming up, and you say, "Well, Rich, I'm not that young," but you're one of the youngest in our industry because the average person is like 47 years old. It's hard to bring people into this industry right
Yeah.
now, especially right now,
Yeah.
um, which is crazy to me. Um, Trying to
It,
think of other
I,
stuff. You said something. What does your wife do?
she's an architect.
Okay.
She started in marketing and was a marketing director for about 10 years, and then had a moment in I don't know, a chapel or something in Europe where,
Okay.
she saw this amazing architecture. She was with her mom, and her mom
Great
was,
story.
yeah, and she started crying, and her mom and her had a conversation. She was like, look, if you're not happy, you're young, change something. And so Valerie went back to school, got her master's in architecture, and started in architecture a few years ago. She loves it. She's really focused on being a sustainable change maker in the industry. And so what that means is there's tons of waste. Like, I don't know what the numbers are. She would be able to tell you, but the the one of the main pollutants of our world is due to construction pollution and waste. So she wants to find ways to be more sustainable um, and do that in a more thoughtful way. So
Great state that probably appreciates that mindset because
yeah,
Colorado is kind of frontward facing of, protecting the ecosystem and things like that.
yeah,
Um, you guys got a pretty good protection up there. You walk over to California and it's a little bit different. I see a lot of waste. I was in California up till the time I came to Georgia, but they would overprotect stuff to the point that, we're not going to cut down any forest. It's like, well, then a fire comes and it's like you needed to clear something out.
right.
And people can put a house anywhere nowadays, and there's houses in places you wouldn't think a house would go. But I, I'm amazed that when you travel the United States, you start to see the difference in architecture of how they build houses. Yeah, especially newer homes in Florida. They have very specific siding that can take 80-mile-an-hour winds and things like that. But the older homes aren't. But they're starting to rebuild. I can see what's going on there. Things have gone a long ways based on specific areas as far as architecture and people. We have to reinvent some things, and otherwise, what are we going to be 50 years from now, 100 years from now? Your kids will definitely be around. I'll be lucky if I'm here another 20 years. So I gotta put my input in while I can. Hopefully, I'll be around a little. Okay, I didn't say that. Hopefully, a little longer than that.
Yeah, I
But
think you're selling yourself short, Rich.
we always want to keep going. All right. I appreciate you spending time with me. I wanted to capture you for about 30 minutes. I wanted people to know who Michael Bass is. I wanted to know that you're part of a team. I wanted to know that not only are you married, you're married to an architect named Valerie, that is trying to reshape things. I wanted them to know that you work with some of the top originators and you have worked with some of the top originators. And guess what? That kind of stuff helps round you out at a higher level than trying to do it all by yourself. You have figured out how to add value into your life because you have these mentors that have just poured into you. And not everybody gets that, by the way. Most people don't, especially on the broker side. So many people are just one person shows, they just want to do their own thing and not really give back. I appreciate the people giving back.
Me too.
We all need to do more of that.
Mm.
We found out that you are a LeBron fan. We found out that you do like the Lakers. We also found out that you are a 3-point shooter and that you do pay the price for the rec league, usually the next day.
Oh yeah.
But we found out a lot about you today. I want to say thank you for sharing that with us because people need to know more about who they're doing business with. We need a chance to not just say, oh, I need a loan officer. No, there are loan officers, and then there are Michael Basses out there that are human and actually have a real life and have some of the same fears and thought processes that somebody could relate to. And that's the key to this is we don't need 350 million people to relate to. We need about 10,000 people. You can find that 10,000 window of Michael Bass, and you will forever have conversations. Conversations turn into apps, apps turn into loans, loans turn into fundings. So I want to say thank you for being an expert home lending. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I know that you got a lot of things to do. As we wrap up, do you have any questions for me?
Just yeah, I mean, what you've built here, I mean, it seems like it's sustainable and growing every day. And the fact that we have what 623, is that what you said, loan officers?
Yes.
I see emails coming in all the time of like updates and compliance and ways to make our lives easier. So thank you for that. And I guess, did you always see yourself in and up in kind of this position here, and or what was nice?
I used to be a Michael Bass, one person working out of my house, but I had a broker's license. Then I had a small company that had 10 loan officers and one processor. Then 2008 happened and I lost that company. I lost everything, quite honestly, and had to rebuild a platform. I was refinance only at that point in time from 91 to 2008. I only did refinances. Kiss of death, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Reinvented myself as purchase and went after purchases only. I would take refis, but it was all about purchases, real estate relationships, stuff like that. And then I eventually got the guts to open back up, just a person out of my house. And I started getting busy and I thought, okay, I'm going to give this one more try. In about 2015, I already had the Answer Home Loans name. And so I just took a commercial spot, but I took my first partner and I said, you recruit and I'll run the brokerage, but let's go after these kind of people, purchase oriented, that have relationships, and let's give them a smoking deal on the broker fee and let's really build them up. And that platform took off and it hit number 4 in the nation just out of California with 150 loan officers. And then when the market was going to slow down after 21, I thought, okay, here we go again. I saw what happened last time. So I sold everything in California. I gave that company to my partner and I said, I'm going to go start. But by giving it to him, it allowed people to come with me if they wanted. I didn't know if anybody would, but quite honestly, out of 150 people, 80 of them came and it immediately put us on the map and we've grown from there. And no, I've never in my mind thought that my capacity stops in my mind at about 100 originators. When I think of 623, that blows my mind. But that's why I'm kind of doing what we're doing here because you're one of them and we have never spoken. I like to know the people that are putting it under the platform because it helps me understand who's coming to this platform. Why are you coming to this platform? Do you have mentors, things like that? Everybody comes for different reasons, but you all have something in common is what I start figuring out. And it helps me keep catering the business towards the people that are here. I don't need 626 more loan originators. I need 600 originators. I need to try and pour into them and help them get one more loan per month. And I accomplish the same thing. I'd rather do that with less people, more loans than more people. And everybody has a different philosophy on that, but I don't need 1,000 or 2,000 loan originators. And we're doing 60% of them are doing a loan. You know, I want to see you do 5 loans a month. I want to see you do 10 loans a month. I know that you'll do 4-to-1 ratio when the market turns and loans will get easier. The refis will come and the market will free up. I want to see you change your life in a way that you never thought possible, because that's what my platform has done in the past. People have made more money than they ever thought possible. And they get these huge 1099s and they're like, Hano, one of our best people, number 11, he's like, I've never received a 1099 with that number on it. His wife thought it was $60,000. He said, honey, you're missing a zero. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that guy's doing that in this platform last year in the same market that somebody's struggling in. So by people looking at what you're doing at your life, they're finding, hey, maybe I need to get on a team. Maybe I need to get mentored a little bit to bring up my game a little bit. And, there's so many ways to do this. And I appreciate you, you lucked out. You're on an incredible team. That's for sure. Not everybody gets an all-star team like that. Ken and Stephanie, they do kill it.
Yep.
I'm very happy that they're choosing Xpert. A lot of these people can go anywhere they want, and not everybody's going to stay. Some people stay a week, some people stay 10 years. Some people desire to open up their own companies. I'm not mad at any one of those. I feel blessed if I get somebody for a day or for however long I get them. I treat them exactly the same, because I also originate. I also do real estate. And from an origination standpoint, I know what you're doing on your spare time and the weekends and your phone going off and things like that. My wife definitely does too. So 35 years of dealing with a mortgage broker. But
yep.
No, that's a good question. I like talking about that. I never thought it would be 600 plus people in my wildest dreams. Well, and so now I just kind of go with it, and you're seeing the changes. I have to bring people in to help.
Right.
So just like you, as you get busy, people say, oh, I'm going to do it myself. I can't do it myself anymore. I had to bring people in. We brought in a heavy compliance person, because that's what the states expect to see when you get this big. Mm-hmm. They worry about us when we're not doing it.
Right.
Mistakes get made and things like that. So yes, it's a little constricting, but at the same point, we've grown to a point that we need that accountability. And I'm blessed that we have the ability to hire people that can fill those roles, because I'm not a compliance attorney. But I can act like one. But I'm way better doing this with you and going and meeting you and doing events and helping you grow your business than trying to put on my compliance hat when he does that full time. He runs circles around me.
We all have only so much time, and
I agree.
You got to spend your time doing the thing that you love and that you're best at. So yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael Bass, for spending your time with us today on Mortgage Ballers. My name is Rich Hanlin, and you heard it straight from Michael's mouth. I'd love to get some feedback. If you have any questions for Michael, I'll put his information into the body, and you'll be able to have his email, his contact. If you want to talk about recruitment at Xpert, if you want to talk about loans, if you're a realtor needing a solid backed loan officer that has a team that's one of the best in the industry, you need to talk to Michael Bass. He's got a great last name, by the way, and that's how you're going to remember him off of this conversation today. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. Have a good one.
Like we say when we end up Mortgage Ballers, we always say it every time. Stay thirsty, my friends.